All right, just getting settled here. Looks like we are good to go. I forgot to meditate this morning. So I typically meditate in the mornings. So I didn't do it this morning for no particular reason. I guess I should hold off on shaking that. But yeah, no particular reason, just didn't think about it. And today I have the 4 charts up on the bottom right of the screen. I'm also drinking some coffee this morning. Not because I didn't sleep well, but because this is an ongoing experiment of coffee versus no coffee for focus. Anyway, let's go ahead and look at the charts for the day. Starting out, I think we have this uptrend. It's possible it's something like this instead. In fact, I think it might actually be like this. It doesn't really matter because there's no break in new high of either one. Let's take another look. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna go with this one. In fact, it might be like this, because in the midline sort of fits there. Clearly, we have the overnight highs here, and the overnight lows down here. Technically, the overnight lows would be right here, but this is where it looks like there's some touches, so I'm putting it there. No break in new high of this uptrend. We move down, we get a break and a new low for the downtrend. Looks like prices are heading from the overnight highs down to the overnight lows. So there's not really anything to take here. There's a possibility for a larger downtrend. And I'm going to draw it just in case, though it's pretty uncertain at this point. So that's kind of like a just in case trend. Wouldn't play this until it's really confirmed. Now let's take a look at the NQ. Looks very similar. We have this uptrend that gets a break and a new high. Then goes into this congestive area. Has a breakout, no clear breakout pullback. You have this downtrend that gets a break and a new low, so very similar to the ES. Looks like if I extend this out, there's a possibility for a downtrend, but I'm not even going to draw that one yet because it doesn't feel quite right. If we draw the overnight highs and overnight lows, it's looking somewhat range-like. We're bound in between those. Now coming over to the CL, we have a downtrend with a 2-legged break and then a new low. We have an uptrend with a break and a new high, 2 legs down, 2 legs down, and then we get another sort of larger 2 legs up. So if you were to look at this on a larger time frame, this is all 1 leg, this is a 2-legged break, and then 2 legs to a new high. But on this chart, it looks like this uptrend already has a break and new high here. But looking at it as if it were a larger time scale, it looks like 1 leg up, break, and 2 legs to a new high. Now we have 1 leg down, so might be looking for a short here, maybe a second entry short, because prices have broken out of the overnight highs and there's a strong spike down through the EMA. I want to note how much support is coming in right here, so I want to keep an eye on that. Now going over to the RTY, we have this uptrend has a break with what looks like a 2-legged break, and probably expecting prices to make a new high. So thinking about what sort of setups might I be looking for. Let me drink some coffee real quick. I'm probably not looking for a break and new high of this uptrend because prices have moved down so far. This downtrend has a break and new low already. So this downtrend has a break and new low. If this downtrend, this larger one, gets confirmed, then I might be looking to take a trade off of that. How about here? Downtrend already has a break and new low. There's not really anything that I'm super looking for here. Possibility for a larger downtrend like the one on the ES. something like that, but it's very not confirmed, very much a maybe right now. So I'm going to mark that just so I can keep an eye on that. On the CL, looking for a second entry short. And the RTY, right now prices are just moving sideways. Looks like 2 legs down. Prices are just moving sideways. I'd have to see kind of a move up and then maybe like a second entry long or something, but I could be looking for an entry to test these highs. I do want to note that there is some resistance there. So that is there. And I don't know how clearly I'll be able to see it, but I'm working on the second monitor on the smaller charts, getting these same sort of trend lines drawn, so that way I can sort of view everything all at once. It's too bad I can't have them update, so like I can't have the charts look the same. Maybe I can, I don't know, I'll have to look into that. So we are getting the first entry on the CL chart. Let's flip over to the CL chart because I think that's the closest one to a setup right now. And we have the first entry here, so I'm looking for price to move up and make a second entry. Overall, I'm just looking for the obvious trades. So I just want to take the most obvious ones. And I think if we get a second entry short, because everything's played out to the upside, you have a spike down. If you get a second entry short, that seems pretty obvious to me. The RTY is moving up. So like I said, I'm expecting a new high there. Looks like this is not really a range area and more of just kind of a choppy bit there. Might get an entry to go long. Got about 5 minutes till the open. I don't want to keep this too terribly tight, but I do think it is pretty tight. Like I don't want to keep it too wide. I think it's probably somewhere about right there. Definitely a possible second entry short setup. So far not setting up exactly how I'd like. I'd like to see a more convincing break, and a more convincing close outside of this uptrend, and a move to a new high ideally, but it's not looking like what we're going to get. RTY also looks like it could be setting up for, could get a possible, I was going to say 2 legs up, so if you kind of draw this tighter, it could be kind of 2 legs up there. But I'm thinking the prices are moving up to this high. So I'm really looking for a long, but it looks like prices are just going to kind of shoot on up there. Let's flip back to the CL. And we do have a possible second entry short here. Looks like a first entry and then a big bullish bar.
Order submitted.
So got to see some momentum because it looks like we could still be inside of this short-term uptrend. So I really need to see a pretty big bearish bar kind of closing outside of that in order to be interested. I don't want to take just some small tiny little bar. Otherwise I'll wait on a higher low, like if it's just a really small bar. So got to see some movement in that direction. Not really getting anything. Really slowly chopping here. Not really picking up any momentum, but you might. Okay, so we are picking up a little bit there. Just kind of feels like one leg up, but I am seeing some downward momentum. It's the second entry short. Downtrend needs to break a new low. I think I'll take that if it breaks lower. There wasn't a ton of momentum on the bar, but I think it's just kind of slow in general. But to me it does look like the short-term uptrend has a close outside, a double top at least.
Order filled.
Okay. So we did break lower there. Looks like it's already in the perfect spot. And we'll let that ride for 1-to-1. This one prices sort of overshot a little bit on this. Looks like the 9:30 open has just hit. And we are moving towards my target on this one. So I want to see how prices react off this possible downtrend on the ES.
Target filled.
Looks like we just got out of the CL trade, the oil. So kind of taking stock here. Downtrend has a break and new low. That's clear. Looks like this downtrend might be correct. But got to see if prices come back and confirm it. Might consider a second entry short here depending on kind of how it sets up. If it was also a triple test, then I think I would be willing to take that, even though this downtrend isn't confirmed. Looks like one leg up, a break. Might get a break and new high there. Not seeing anything on the NQ, just really choppy, kind of moving sideways. CL, we did get that entry short there. And the RTY, still expecting prices to reach this high, but it's looking really sideways right now. So it could be maybe some sort of range there. Okay, so we are setting up a potential second entry short on the ES. Let's see what happens here. If we kind of move up, create that triple test, and then turn down, then I might be interested. So I'm going to put
Order
in a
submitted.
sell order just in case. Let's see what happens. Looks like it's just going to go ahead and close on
Order
up there.
canceled.
So this downtrend is incorrect. I'm going to keep that resistance there just in case that comes into play. Checking out the incur. Looks the same. Had to sneeze there for a sec. Looks like there's kind of a range on the incur. If we look at that there, CL is moving on down, looking for possibly a measured leg down. Price is kind of struggling at the support area that I marked earlier. The RTY looks like it's moved to a break and new high for the uptrend, so it's exactly what I was expecting, but did not provide any entries there. I'm definitely starting to feel how it could be tough to look at so many charts at once, because I didn't even notice that the RTY had made a new high because I was looking at the ES chart at that time. So could be tough. I think got to pay a little bit more attention to the 4 charts than I do just getting too focused on one of them. So looking for possibly 2 measured legs up on the RTY. We're really moving up quite strongly here. Let's draw these 2 legs up here. So let's take stock of what's happening on the ES. We had this break a new low, and now we're moving higher before reaching this support area. Looks like you could have some sort of uptrend. It could be that, or it could also be something like that. There's nothing that I would really consider as an entry right now. The NQ is moving on up higher. It looks like this range is probably something like this, has a slight breakout pullback, and now we're moving higher there. CL, we're just continuing to move down. We made it through the support level, and we've now reached the measured move. Looks like we're going to go slightly past this measured move. RTY, we have the break a new high for the uptrend. Looks like it extends past 2 legs up, definitely extends past 2 legs up there. Everything has played out to the upside, so now if prices start moving down, then I might start looking for some short entries. I want to understand what's happening on the ES, though right now it looks more range-like than anything. On the NQ, I definitely see a possible trend line forming here. Could see that being a possibility. Would be hesitant to take a long here though. Kind of just in the middle of nowhere. ES, I don't actually understand what's going on. Prices are just moving sideways, chopping above and below the EMA. CL has made these two legs down, so let's see if we get any sort of continuation and if this is a range or if we're going to pop back out the high side. RTY gets this strong leg down, so at least on this one I'm going to be looking for, similar to this CL trade where prices kind of popped out, came back with it and made a second entry short. That's kind of what I'm looking for on this trade, or on this chart. Thinking prices will not make the measured move up. They might, but at least right now this is a strong sell-off after the break a new high, which means to me, or shows me that this is probably over. This uptrend is probably over, and we're probably looking for shorts now. Possible setup on the NQ. Could see this as kind of a hidden second entry, but I'm not sure about this uptrend. It's looking congestive, kind of in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it could be this uptrend, like I said, but for the most part, I'm not entirely sure where we are. Looks like we're breaking that uptrend anyway. So there's nothing to do on the CL because we made those two legs down, waiting for a clearer structure. On the RTY, we have made this, looks like we've broken this short-term downtrend and we're heading to a new low. It could actually be wider though, so it's possible it's a little bit wider. Going to go ahead and pull that out just in case. ES is continuing to move sideways, and the NQ looks like it's coming back to test that range. So prices didn't have a very clear breakout pullback. This is technically one, but for the most part, this looks like a more clear breakout pullback there. ES is just moving sideways. Looks like you might even have a similar range to the NQ. Something of that sort. Maybe it could be a little bit higher. I'm going to leave it there for now, although I'm not entirely sure of that. Continuing to move down on the CL chart. So we made these two measured legs. You find some buying here, but we're continuing downwards. So I do want to draw that short-term downtrend. Now that has a break a new low of its own. I want to see if prices are going to return down to these lows. Still a possible setup on the RTY. This could be a close outside a new low. In fact, it's playing out like it is. So I'm going to take this back to being tight here. If that's tight, then it does have a break a new low. And with that being said, I probably won't be looking for a short entry. Not right here. Prices are finding support off the same level that I marked earlier. Let's see, if they continue down, then it could be still in play here. Okay, I'll put that there, but I'm not sure about that. Maybe if we do it kind of off that swing. Not sure. Okay. CL continuing to move down and move down strongly. ES continuing to move sideways. NQ looks like it's kind of bouncing off this breakout pullback. So we are finding some support off this breakout pullback area. Nothing super clear on any of the charts as of right now. This is just looking range-like. Finding some support on the NQ. Continuing to chop around on the ES. Continuing to move down on the CL. Could be a wider downtrend here. Want to keep that in mind. And at least on this chart, it looks best to me to have this already have a break in new low, and we're finding support at the same area. Looks like we might be pushing on through here though. Probably not looking for any shorts, at least until some other structure comes into play. We are moving down very strongly on the CL. we've far surpassed this measured move. Expecting prices to come down to these overnight lows. Looks like that's where they're headed. Let's see what else there is to see. Not really much. If we look at the ES chart, it kind of looks like we made two legs up here, like two legs up, and now we're headed back down. That's kind of what that looks like to me. Not sure about this range. This one right here could be incorrect. Just want to point that out. Incur finding support at this old resistance level. Still kind of chopping around though. I could draw a downtrend, but with how prices are moving right here, it doesn't look like downtrend action. This one continuing to work down. In fact, it looks like this downtrend is most likely correct. If it is, I might consider some sort of pullback before prices reach this low. On the RTY, we are continuing down past the support level. There's the possibility for a spike in channel, but right now it just looks to me like a short-term downtrend with a break and a new low. That definitely doesn't look right there. So the RTY and the CL are the two that are kind of trending right now, and the only two that I'm sort of considering an entry off of. Shake my protein shake real quick. NQ looks like it's bouncing higher. Same with the ES. So this support might actually be a little bit higher. Maybe it's more like just like that. I think this downtrend, I think it's correct, but it could be tighter, and it could already have a break in new low. I don't think it's terribly helpful either way. There's a lot of sort of just mess on this chart right now. Trying to figure out where this range might be. NQ really moving higher. I think this trend or this range was correct here. It gets a breakout pullback. If we keep that real tight, could have a break in new low of this downtrend. So if we kind of keep that about there, break a new low of the downtrend creates a breakout pullback, and we're moving higher. Downtrend still in play, making a breakout pullback. So prices broke through this support area and they're kind of pulling back now. Price is coming back within this range, so it does look like this might be correct. Even though there's a slight push outside here. Slight push outside here, prices kind of come back within, and they're definitely playing within so far. Nothing to take here. There's nothing obvious, so like there might be a trade to take. I want to be clear about how I'm sort of viewing that. There might be some sort of trade to take, but there's nothing super obvious to me. I'm trying to wait on the obvious, hell yeah kind of trade. And I'm not seeing it on any of these. I'm not seeing it on the NQ. I'm not seeing it on the ES. CL could have some kind of pullback here, though it's possible this downtrend already has a break in new low. If we pull that in tighter, I think it's something like that. Something like that. There could be some sort of pullback here. On the RTY, I think this downtrend already has a break and new low, and you found support on the same area. It doesn't really help you very much to have that there now, but it looks like you're back within the overnight boundaries. Possibly some sort of range forming. I'm going to flip over to the CL. This is the only one that I'm kind of thinking about taking an entry on. The prices have come close to this support zone. So if you look at the support zone there, it could already be over. So it could just be this downtrend has a break and new low and we came off the support because we are close to the zone. If you got a perfect second entry, like a perfect 2 legs back, then I might still consider entering, but there is some ambiguity. Some ambiguity that this downtrend might have already played out, and second off, we might have already come down to this support area. In fact, with those things in mind, chances are I should skip a trade or skip any trade that comes up here. But I think if we do get a perfect 2 legs back with a really nice bearish bar, then I think the context is good enough to take a perfect entry. But if it's anything but a perfect entry, I think I need to skip it. Sideways, super sideways. NQ, similarly sideways. RTY, kind of figuring out where it's going to go now. Possible setup on the ES. We're getting short-term uptrend with a break, so if we get a bearish bar off of these highs, there could be a setup there. I'm not going to take it, it's too ambiguous. Just kind of moving sideways without any real direction on the NQ, so I'm not even going to really try there. CL getting this one really strong leg back. And this is kind of strong enough for me to say, yeah, I think we did come off of the lows. So I'm actually going to redraw my range bounds. It's possible I'm incorrect here, but I think that something like this is correct. Just with how strong that touches. I'm going to remove this downtrend here, and I think it's actually just a short-term downtrend with a break and a new low coming off the support level. Just look at all that buying that just came in there. That's how I'm going to play this for now. So we do get a second entry on this, but this is a really strong push away, and it's still within the short-term uptrend, so I'm not interested in that trade. I still need to get a webcam, so this is a reminder to me tonight, because I'll watch this video later, to order that webcam so that way I can see what I'm sort of physically doing as well. I think that would be a whole nother helpful addition to figure out, I don't know, what I'm doing every single day, I guess. I don't really, for some reason I'm like losing my words there, but yeah. The question is, where am I going to put it? I mean, like, first off, physically, yes, where am I going to put it? But second off, where am I going to put it, like, on the screen? And I think the best place would probably be, like, maybe in the top right corner, because there's all this, like, all this stuff. And generally, I don't let prices kind of come this close anyway to the edges. It's like right now, I know this one is down here. I can't actually see it on my screen, but this one's down here, and I know it's not being blocked at all on any of the charts, because I don't like to keep prices that close to the edges. The corners at least. It looks like we did end up moving higher, so I was right not to take this trade. Seems like today I have a decent grasp on what the CL is doing. The ES, we did not make that break a new high for that short-term uptrend. We're just continuing to play in the range. Prices came back off this resistance, and now they're moving down. NQ continuing to move sideways. So far, it's kind of hard to tell what's going on here. For the most part, I don't exactly know. CL, strong short-term uptrend, creating the possibility for some sort of long entry. The RTY is moving sideways in what I think is a range. I marked this earlier after this downtrend has played out and prices started to look choppy. So far, it's the CL that's getting the most movement. I want to see how many bars are on each of these, so I'm going to measure on this second screen just from 9:30 until now. You have 31 on the ES. So 31 on the ES, 33 on the NQ. Just trying to figure out if my tick values are right. You only have 19 bars on CL. And 35 on the RTY. So it looks like everything is pretty close, but the volume is actually rather low, I guess, in the CL, because I think I'll have to check on how it was yesterday, whether there was more volume or less. It looks like there's a similar amount in the overnight as the ES, but then it's slower at the open. And I think that was similar with how it was yesterday. But I do like the way that's moving. It did give me this entry, so I'm going to keep this tick value for now. But it's something I might want to play around with later if I notice that it is very off. RTY looks like it's breaking outside of this possible range. If we look, uptrend now is a breaking new high. I'm going to drag this range up a little bit and see if that ends up holding there. Otherwise, I'm just going to ditch the range. NQ, I really have no clue what's going on. This is just a bunch of sideways, choppy action. There's nothing that I can really do here. Prices overall, they're making higher lows and lower highs. The ES is continuing to move in this range. I'm not playing this range. I'm waiting for some sort of clearer trend. I do want to note this is a second entry long and a triple test, so it's possible that this is a decent entry. CL continuing to move up pretty strongly. It did create so I didn't even see this really at the time. I saw that this was a second entry, but I didn't even consider the failed second entry. This is probably a pretty good trade though, because look at that big bullish bar. It came up to the EMA, broke lower, turned up higher, closed above. That's probably a pretty decent trade right there. So I'm gonna have to look at that later and figure out why exactly I didn't even consider it. I think it's because it didn't pop above the EMA, Generally, whenever I'm looking for a failure, I'd like for it to move above, pull back, and then test it. But this one turned down, tested it, and then closed above. So it's a little bit strange, but it looks like it's basically a perfect failed second entry pattern. So maybe there's something there. Back to the RTY, looks like it is holding this level. You have an uptrend with a break and a new high. Possibility for some sort of short with this triple test and what looks like 2 legs back with a big bearish bar. But to me, it looks like this is a range area. You'd be going right into the midline, and there's no clear obligation to the downside because this downtrend has already played out. ES is moving up higher still after coming off of that support area. NQ continuing to move sideways. In fact, you might want to, or I might want to draw some sort of range, but I don't see it yet. I'll draw something because it looks like there's some resistance there. So like resistance in this area. And then maybe finding some support there, but I'm just going to keep that off until I see something a little bit clearer. CL is really continuing to move higher. I might be looking for some sort of long entry now. Looks like this old support area is not coming into play. God, I keep clicking the wrong place here. It's not really coming into play. So I'm just going to kind of pull that back to there. Uptrend is clearly correct. Looking for some sort of long on the CL. Looks like the entry on the ES was probably pretty good. Second entry long, triple test, big bullish bar, right off the range support. Looks like that worked out well. I want to take a look for 1-to-1. I do believe you would have been pushing into that resistance, which I wouldn't have really wanted to do. You probably could have gotten a limit back a little bit. Not sure. Resistance could be a little bit higher. So I'm actually going to draw that higher there and see how that plays out. I might end up pulling this back down, but for now, I'm going to try this out. Continuing to move higher on the NQ. Making higher lows, and now you're making higher highs as well. You have the short-term uptrend. I'm hesitant to draw any larger structure like this because I don't think that that is actually correct. Looks like prices are headed to this resistance level though. So if we get a break, a new high, and then some sort of maybe a lower high, maybe I'd consider that, but I'm hesitant because it's not really a with trend entry and I want to wait on the obvious ones. So not sure. Made a 1 leg back here. You might get some sort of second entry long, which is what I might be looking for. Here you are at the middle of the range, and I'd prefer if we were at one of the bounds, either the support or the resistance. Prices are moving sideways on the RTY, about the same as yesterday. RTY is just kind of not much movement. Started out with a lot of movement and then just dropped into this range and didn't really have any sort of volume. So that's about the same as we saw yesterday as well. Two charts I'm really watching here are the NQ, as prices are moving up strongly and coming towards the resistance on the NQ, as you can see here. And then the CL, I'm looking for a possible second entry long. And I'm looking at my second monitor right now, watching both of these charts to see which one might give me a potential setup. Looks like we are breaking the short-term uptrend on the NQ. We moved strongly down on the CL. So we're having basically just as strong as a move down. So big bearish bar gets a lot of follow through, finds a little bit of buying, and then it's getting some more follow through to the downside. So chances of getting a second entry or any kind of long entry on the CL are pretty low now. ES continuing to move sideways within this range. So it looks like expanding this bound so far, it looks like it is correct. Looks like it has a close outside and a double top. We'll see what happens there. In Q, getting the close outside, expecting prices to move to a new high and probably come off of this resistance level. In fact, there could be a good entry there. I'm not going to take it in case it occurs, but this is definitely an interesting area. If we get a close outside and prices get a bearish bar off of this resistance area, that is something that would definitely interest me. I'm not going to take it because I'm not confident enough in that entry, but I want to point out that that is something that could be high probability. Making big swings up and big swings down on the CL. Definitely not looking for any kind of long entry, at least at this point in time. If you got maybe a 2 legs back and then a higher low, that could be a different story, but as it's setting up now, it doesn't look super interesting. We are breaking lower on the RTY. Looks like this is not indeed a range, but instead just some resistance area, and maybe this could have been a decent entry. But I don't think you could have known that it was going to break below what was this possible support area. Looking for possibly a second leg down. And flipping back to the NQ, it looks like we are coming close to this resistance. I'm guessing we're going to have this break new high, and then if we get a bearish bar here, that would be a very interesting entry to me, but again, I'm going to skip it because it's not the sure thing type of entry that I'm looking for. The hell yeah entry. On the ES, it looks like we're attempting to move higher off that resistance level. We're at least getting somewhat close to doing so. We are testing it quite a bit. In Q, as I mentioned, has this break in new high, expecting prices to come up to the resistance area. CL is actually turning up here, so let's see how prices react off the EMA. If we got a strong push up and then a higher low off the EMA with a really good signal bar, I might still consider going long. Just depends on how it sets up here. RTY, I'm not looking for any entry. Downtrend break new low, uptrend break new high. Then you get a second sort of move down. I'm thinking we might make a measured move, but at least right now there's not anything I'm super interested in there. Same with the ES, nothing I'm really interested in. Price is just kind of chopping around here up at this range. So two charts that I'm watching the CL and the NQ right now. Not really getting any follow through. So we did get this bullish bar, and I was thinking, okay, we might get a strong push up and then a sort of that higher low, but we're not getting any follow through on this bullish bar. Instead, we are just moving sideways. So you have this down bar, and then you have 1-2 bars stacking inside the side of it. It's looking like it's going to be a third bar. A very neutral-like bar there. Flipping back to the NQ, you have a break and new high for the short-term uptrend, getting close to this resistance area. You haven't quite touched it, but it could be close enough to call it off the resistance zone. So if we get a strong push below the EMA and a failed second entry below the EMA, then I might be interested in a trade there. I do want to look and see, it could be possibly 2 measured legs up. So it's pretty close to 2 measured legs if you're looking at this one, although I don't think that I'd really want to draw this trend here. I did have that drawn earlier, and it still could be correct, but for the most part, I think it's just kind of like a visual one. 2 legs up. So let's see what's going to happen here. Prices are moving sideways. They're looking kind of range-like up at this level. Maybe something like that. We could be moving up to this resistance now. ES has moved up and out of this range. So it looks like, I think I was right to move this. Well, let's see. I think I was right to move the resistance level. I'm going to leave it there where it was. And I think that's correct. Prices have now broken out of it. You could see some sort of pullback within and possibly a lower high. I'm not taking that because I'm not very good at taking those. But I do want to go ahead and acknowledge that as a possibility. Okay, so we are moving sideways on this one. The CL, we are getting a little bit of follow through. So this bar that I said was looking super neutral and range-like has continued to build out with very low volume. I know it's low volume, even though I haven't been watching it, because it was about to close last time I looked at it, and now it's still been moving sideways. So it's been moving sideways this entire time. It's not that strong push above that I was looking for. Chances are I'm not going to get an entry there. The RTY continuing to move sideways. So hopping back, I'm looking at the second monitor. I'm looking at the 4 charts because it's a lot looking at each one individually. My cat is wreaking havoc over here. I don't know what she's doing. Come on. I think she's looking for a bug. Hey, stop it. Stop. I don't know what she's doing. Okay, so the NQ looks like it did get the break and new high for the short-term uptrend, and now it's kind of turning down. So it didn't quite reach this resistance area. But again, it did kind of reach these 2 legs up and hit the resistance zone, even if it's not off of this, technically, the resistance area, or the true resistance level. So if we start moving down and we get a failed second entry, then I would definitely be interested in taking that. We're getting a strong move down, so there is the potential for that failed second entry. ES is coming back within this range, so it looks like a failed breakout, and it's moving strongly as well. So the NQ and the ES both moving down strongly. Actually, all the charts are actually moving down right now. Want to see about this failure on the NQ. CL, definitely not getting that long entry I was looking for. You're just chopping around the EMA. Nothing to do there. You might get technically that second entry, but look how congestive that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stacked bars, all a bunch of neutral or doji bars. So you might get that bullish signal bar, but if you do get it, I'm not going to take that. At some point in time, I might have taken that because, like, okay, you're looking for a break a new high and it's a second entry, blah, 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 but no, it's not good. Flipping back to the NQ. RTY is continuing to sort of chop lower. So I could see this maybe creating some sort of shallow downtrend. Both the NQ and the ES are moving basically in lockstep right now. Both are moving higher. We're getting a test off this EMA. Let's see if prices are able to hold that or if they're going to push on through. It looks like they're going to push through with all that strength. Same with the ES. We came back within this range, didn't come down to the support, so we've now made a bunch of higher lows. I don't think that's any sort of trend, truly, but I do want to notice that we've made a higher low, higher low, higher low. Same with on the NQ there, we're making repeated higher lows. So again, I don't think this is a trend. Of course, it could be, I guess. So like, if you were to extend that, out, it could be a trend, but at least I just want to notice that we are making higher lows. Don't want to take a lower high here, even though everything's played out to the upside. It's moved too far for a lower high, so I'm not looking to take that. Okay, on the CL, we did get this move up, so I know that I wasn't looking to take it off the signal bar, but we did get the move up after this second entry long, so I was thinking this was definitely not a good place to enter, but maybe I need to rethink that, so I want to study that later. We did get this very strong move up, is all I want to notice, so I'm going to mark this just as a place to study later on. I'm going to mark this because I do think that was a great trade. NQ is not holding the EMA, so chances of getting that entry that I was looking for are pretty low, and I am going to draw this uptrend just in case that ends up coming into play, because if this downtrend doesn't play out, that might be sort of a sign to me that this uptrend could be correct, though right now it is uncertain, so I want to put that out there that it is a pretty uncertain trend. Don't see any sort of trend on the ES. This would be way too flat. I definitely don't want to draw anything like that. This is just a range. The CL looks like it's moving towards the break new high. It's created a double top, so it was basically spot on there, but I actually didn't think it was going to go higher after this strong downtrend, so I need to study that later, figure out where my issue in thinking was, my problem in thinking, I suppose. Continuing to sort of chop lower on the RTY. Not much to view there. You do get a double bottom, so I'm going to mark that, keep that in mind. Could end up getting some sort of range, so maybe with some resistance there and some support here. Going to keep an eye on that. ES is testing the resistance again after not coming off the support, so there could be a break higher. Would not be surprised to see a break higher out of this resistance again. In Q, still kind of moving higher here. So we do get a bearish or bullish bar that gets a little bit of selling, a bullish bar that closes right on its highs, and then no follow through. So there is still the possibility for a failed second entry. But the thing about this one is now you've gone below the EMA, you've closed above the EMA again. So it's not looking like that strong move down and then holding below the EMA. You haven't come off this resistance yet, which is exactly where I'm expecting prices to go. As I mentioned earlier, they might have come close enough, but with this potential uptrend, or at least these higher lows in play, I'm not going to take a short, even if we do get that failure under the EMA that I was potentially looking for earlier. CL is moving down very strongly. So you have this uptrend with a two-legged break and a double top with a big bearish bar. I don't think you can take that trade, but you are moving down quite strongly. Could even be a long entry setting up on the NQ. I don't think I'd want to take that because of all the ambiguity here. This uptrend could be correct. If it is, then I might be kicking myself saying, why didn't I take this trade? Because it is a second entry long off the EMA. Signal bar is not very good, but to me it looks like, again, prices came close to this resistance area. This uptrend has already played out. You get a strong spike below the EMA. Now you're just popping or flipping back and forth. So I don't want to take that long there. I don't want to take a short here. It's getting too uncertain for me. I want to wait on the hell yeah entries, and that's not one. Created a double top here. Price is moving strongly down in the CL. So prices have played out early on the CL chart. So they came off of this support zone, not quite off of the true support, which I think was down here at the overnight lows. Came off the support zone, got a strong move up, two-legged move down. It's really just one leg and then some congestion, a move to a double top, and then an equally strong sell-off where you're getting a series of bearish bars but notice how each one of these bearish bars is finding some buying on the end, seen by this wick. So big bearish bar finds a little bit of buying, big bearish bar finds some buying, bearish bar finds some buying, each one finding buying on the end, so not able to close on their lows. Definitely shows me a little bit about the strength of the move down. So as I expected, the ES is moving out of the resistance again because I mentioned earlier that prices did not reach the support. Now they're trading back out the resistance. That's kind of what I was expecting there. The NQ is moving higher off of this second entry long that I mentioned earlier, but I did not want to take any sort of entry in this area. It's too ambiguous. The one that I want to watch the most right now is probably the NQ because I want to see what's going to happen as prices move up to this resistance area. Just noticed I have no ATM strategy set here. So set that one. It looks like there's no ATM strategy set on any of these, which is odd. I wish I could have it so it changes the ATM strategy depending on which chart I'm looking at. But I don't think I can do that. I'll have to look into it because they all have slightly different brackets. Still finding some resistance off the same level. So there was this kind of congestive area. Now prices are finding some resistance there again, not coming off of this overnight high. Short-term uptrend is played out with a break and new high. I could see this being a decent entry. It's too aggressive for me, but looking at it sort of after the fact, because I wasn't exactly looking at this in the moment of it setting up, it looks like second entry short, big bearish bar off of this resistance level. Prices continuously not making a new high, and now we're moving down. I don't think this uptrend is correct, but let's see how prices react off of it. RTY continuing to sort of move down. Would not be surprised again if there's some sort of flatter trend coming down here, but right now it's just kind of choppy and uncertain. Going to draw this just in case though. Something like that could be correct, but I don't want to play that unless it's really proven. In fact, I'm just going to remove that because it doesn't look right. until I see something that's a little bit clearer. I don't want to trip myself up. I've done that in the past. Yes, continuing to move sideways. So we broke out of this range again. It looks like we might come back within. NQ continuing to move down. CL moving sideways. Uptrend gets a break and a double top. Strong spike down. Prices are just flip-flopping the EMA above, below, above, below. They're just caught in the middle of this range now, waiting for prices to come to either one of the resistance or the support area. NQ is finding some support. Could be at this possible trend line. Again, I don't know if it's correct. I don't really think it's correct because this looks more like a range to me, but it could be, so I'm keeping it drawn because it does have enough touches on both sides. But I would definitely be hesitant to play it. In fact, it still like could be right, and the range also could be right, but the range could be the dominant pattern. That's a possibility. RTY is now the one that's moving. Wow. That was an ugly sound. RTY is now the one that's moving. I'm expecting prices to possibly move down to the measured move down. Looks like there was a little bit of a range type of area. There was at least, I mean, there was support and there was resistance, so I'm going to draw that. You can see there was kind of this 1, 2, 3 kind of test and this double bottom kind of area. It's possible that this was just a downtrend and now we have a break and 2 legs down to a new low. It's a possibility. Let's see what this looks like as a measured move down. Let's see if we get any reaction off that. If so, then I'll probably go with that. Just got to keep that in mind. Lots of uncertainty on this chart as of right now. Don't think anything like that is right because we would skip too much price action here. So just gonna stick with what I have for now. NQ coming down here, potential for a second entry long, but I wouldn't want to play this uptrend, especially after prices are coming off this resistance. It looks to me like this is a range. The range looks like the dominant pattern. In fact, with such a strong move down, I'm just going to remove this uptrend entirely. And I'm going to start looking for a failed second entry because now prices have played out early here, didn't quite reach the resistance. They came back up, they played out early, made a lower high, didn't quite reach the resistance again. This is actually looking like quite a good trade here. A little bit ambiguous, but it's possible that maybe I should have taken that. It is pretty clear what's happening. But if we get some sort of failure here, then I think that's going to be the golden entry. But I do want to keep in mind that we are making higher lows each time here. So even if this trend isn't correct, we are making higher lows. So that's worth noting. RTY has hit the measured move. So let's see if this downtrend and the break in 2 legs down is the correct interpretation, or if it's going to be a 1, 2 legs down and then possibly some sort of larger downtrend. In fact, now that I look at it, this is starting to look more and more appealing to me. Let's see how that plays out. In fact, I'm going to remove this. I think this is looking more correct to me. Quite a strong downtrend here. So the NQ looks like it did make that failure. I wasn't watching whenever it happened, so this is part one of me being too distracted to notice something. So it did make this failure, but I don't think I would have taken that anyway. I just want to point that out. But if it had set up exactly like I wanted, I would have totally missed it. Like if this had ticked higher, kind of come off that EMA, and the signal bar had ended about like right here, I totally would have missed it. So I want to keep that in mind. We are moving down though. So there's the potential for a second entry short or something of that nature. Yes, looks like it's continuing to sort of move sideways, coming back within this range area, CL. I could see the potential for a second entry long. Sometimes Mac will mark trades like this, where we're kind of ambiguous on the range, but you do get like kind of a perfect 2 legs down and a second entry long. So you could get something like that. Maybe a second entry long coming off this support area. I would skip that because it's a little bit too uncertain for me. I want to wait on a hell yeah trade, and this would be a not so certain trade. Prices are kind of bouncing off this possible downtrend, so let's see if that's able to hold. Thinking prices are moving down to the measured move on the RTY. Moving down strongly on the NQ, super strongly on the NQ. Definitely looking for a short entry here. Want to see if we can get some sort of two-legged pullback. That would be the ideal entry for me here. And it looks like on the RTY, we are also moving down. It's possible this is a little bit wider. Uncertain about that though. Could be something like that. CL is coming down to the support area. You've gone a little bit past the measured move. Again, the possibility exists for a second entry long and these 2 legs down to the support area. That would be a very aggressive trade for me though. Looks like we might be coming down to this previous overnight low, and I want to see how prices are going to react there. But you have pushed past that support level that I moved prices up to, so I could have been wrong and could have been just kind of over extrapolating to what prices are currently doing instead of sticking with what they really are doing. Okay. Range is continuing on the ES. NQ continuing down, so I'm looking for a short on the NQ. Short on the NQ, possible long on the CL. And the RTY looks like it's moving towards this measured move, so there's nothing really to do here. Once it reaches that measured move, I want to see if this downtrend continues to hold, if it's even correct. And I want to go ahead and draw where the overnight lows are in case that is a possible target for prices as well. Flipping back to the NQ as it is, well, the NQ and the CL are the two that I'm sort of looking at as far as entries go. I'm going to go to the CL. It's probably the most likely at this point in time. So this would have been the second entry long triggering on a bad signal bar, but it is clearly 2 legs down close to the support level. Again, no entry to take there, but it's possible that you get some sort of higher low or failure coming off of this level, in which case maybe I'd be interested, but it would have to be a really, really perfect setup because I know that I'm less certain about that area in general. On the RTY, I'm going to go ahead and remove this trend line because it's obviously incorrect. If anything is correct, it's something steeper, something like this, or something like that, where the midline would get some play. Maybe something tighter. Let's see, maybe something like that. Could be something like that. You're bouncing, not bouncing, but you're touching the overnight lows. You've extended past the measured move, so I'm going to leave that just in case. Remove this arrow, so we have 1, 2 legs down, surpassing the measured move, clearly getting some bearish bias here, moving down on the CL. So we are not really finding any support on the CL here. Everything is moving down. Every chart so far is moving down. Downtrend on the ES, so we broke out the high side of the ES. Originally we broke out the high side, didn't reach the support, broke out the high side again. You get a 1, 2 again. Didn't see this at the time, but could be an entry there. You then get a lower high there. I wouldn't want to take either one of those. It's not my injury, but seeing those in hindsight, looking for a possible short on the NQ. The CL is moving down quite strongly, so I am actually going to move this back up. So it actually looks correct to me there, and now we're just pushing right on through there. We pushed past this measured move. Possible to get some sort of downtrend like this. At the very least, you do have something like this downtrend. So I'm certain about this shorter term downtrend, and there could possibly be a minor downtrend there. RTY is finding support off of the overnight lows. Could be a larger downtrend here. Need to see if that's going to come into play. So right now the only entry I'm looking for is the NQ. Moving down very strongly on the CL. Coming back within the range on the ES. The downtrend still needs to break a new low though, so I'm expecting that to probably happen. The NQ is pulling back. So we're getting this pullback on the NQ. And I'm thinking that if we get a two-legged pullback, then I'll probably be interested to go short. Finding some support off the overnight lows on the RTY. So though we did surpass the measured move slightly, it's still in the realm of a possibility that that was just two legs down to the overnight lows. This is a one of those times where it feels like, okay, there's too much happening at once, where if I'm not careful that I'm going to miss something. Looking at the ES, expecting prices to test this break a new low, but they're coming back within this range. So I'm not looking for an entry here personally. In Q, I'm looking for the two legs back. CL, want to see prices pull back and test these lows before they potentially go lower. But this downtrend is looking like it's correct so far. And if this downtrend is correct and we break it, we test these this previous support area, holding it as resistance, then I could be interested in taking a short. RTY is bouncing off of the I'm going to remove this downtrend because this is not correct. It is bouncing off of the overnight lows. This downtrend has a break and new low. You've made two measured legs down and you're now moving up strongly. So there's the potential for a failed second entry here as a reversal. So I'm looking for a short on the NQ, a failed second entry on the RTY, and potentially a short entry on the CL, though that is a little bit far out. You are continuing to move lower here, so I'm going to pull this in tighter. Continuing to move lower. Something like that looks correct to me. I really feel like I'm in the zone right now, actually. There's enough going on, and it matches sort of my inner clock with drinking this coffee right now, where I feel like I'm really in the zone with how prices are moving. Looking at the NQ, it looks like we are setting up for this possible second entry. So I want to see a two-legged pullback on the NQ. I'm going to switch this to the NQ bracket because this one is a little bit wider than the ES one that I typically use. So we have made that move up.
Order
I want to
submitted.
go ahead and prep my order in case this bar turns bearish here. If it does, I think I'll take it. We're moving up very strongly. That is a very strong up move. We're finding a lot of momentum. So I would need a pretty strong bearish bar in order to reverse that. There's an uncertain break and new high here. If you draw it really tight, there is a closeout side. If you draw it a little bit wider, there's not. In fact, with how strong this is moving up, I'm going with that this is not a break and new high. So I'm going to need a more complex pullback in order to take an entry here, because that is a very strong up movement. Because of how strong this up movement was, I want to see a close outside a new high and then a lower high, or something of that nature. I'm not just going to take the second entry short here. Price is coming back within the range on the ES as expected. CL continuing to move lower. If prices continue to move lower and you get a good two-legged pullback, then I might be looking to take a short there. So possibility for a short there. RTY, I'm still thinking for a possible failure. Thinking possible failure here. Okay, so incur is setting up for that possible second entry, though it didn't tick higher, so this signal bar was not one that I would potentially, or not one that I would even be interested in. But I want to see what's going to happen if we get a close outside, a complex pullback, or close outside break new high, or a failure after the close outside. Those are the two possible entries there. We're breaking the downtrend on the CL. Possibility for a two-legged pullback on the CL. It would have to be, so since prices haven't tested this pullback, or haven't tested the breakout of the support, it would have to be a perfect two legs back with a big bearish bar in order for me to take this. Either that or prices need to test this support as resistance. Nothing to take in the ES. So nothing to take in the ES, possibly looking for a complex pullback on the NQ, looking for a perfect pullback on the CL, and looking for a failure on the RTY. So quite a few balls to juggle right now. Price is moving up pretty strongly in the CL. Moving down pretty strongly on the NQ. So it looks like there was some follow-through movement on this downtrend, and I was possibly wrong. So as of right now, it looks like this was a closeout side, and prices are now moving to the break and new low. Didn't get the setup I was looking for, but I was wrong. So I want to point that out, that I was thinking this was a slightly wider uptrend. So far, it's looking like I was wrong. Again, I can't say for certain. I got to see how prices play out, but let's see what happens there. Just getting a higher low on the RTY as of right now. So we can check this out. If this had broken lower, then this could be a failure and a possible entry. Possible overshoot of this uptrend means that we might get a break of that. Possibility for a second entry long though, similar to what we took on the CL here after the failed breakout. So price is coming off of this overnight low. Price has made two measured legs down. Everything is played out to the downside. You overshot this, but we could get a second entry long. So maybe like a 1, 2 to go long. That is something that I might be interested in. Failure is looking less interesting here. NQ looks like it's moving towards the break new low. ES is trading back within the range. The most interesting one right now is probably the CL, because we are coming back to this support area. So let's see if this holds as resistance. This is a strong enough uptrend right now that chances are I'm not going to be looking to short. Similar to the NQ where I was looking for a more complex pullback, I think I'm going to need one here. So uptrend would need to break a new high and then some sort of lower high, holding this support as resistance. So maybe even if we turn down here and then we got a failed second entry, or a super strong push away and then a lower high, maybe. Incur is getting really close to the break and new low. We've made basically a double bottom here. So it looks like I was wrong here. I was thinking that this uptrend had expanded, but I was wrong because prices are moving to the break and new low. So this is probably just a break and new high of the short-term uptrend. CL is not holding this as resistance at all. It's moving right on through there. So a little bit of ambiguity there. It looks like there might be two larger legs down if you measure these. So 1, 2 legs down. Didn't see that at the time, but want to mark that now because it does look correct. Prices are moving up very strongly, so I might actually be willing to take a long here now. Nothing to do in the ES, just back within this range. Looks like a pretty simple range to trade though, to be honest. So you came off here, you came off there, there. You even got a higher low here, so decently simple range to trade. Strong move up, thinking possible long on the CL, still thinking possible long on the RTY as well. Had to help my mom grab something. Sort of out of breath now. Still the possibility for a... Oh, hold up, I'm still out of breath. Whew. It's like rain up the stairs. Still the possibility for a failed second entry / second entry long on the RTY. Nothing on the ES, just moving sideways. In Q, we still haven't quite reached this break a new low, but we have made sort of a triple test down here. So not really looking for any entry there. And the CL, still thinking long, coming back within this range. Thinking a second entry long here would be good. Right now the closest to an entry would be the RTY, so I'm taking a look at this. Price is looking congestive and sideways, so if we get a second entry long here, chances are I won't be interested. It would have to set up in a very perfect way. If this ends as a bullish bar, tempted to take it, but prices are looking really sideways here. I think it's best to skip it. It's not looking like the exact sort of pattern that I'd be looking for there. I might be incorrect though. Not seeing any momentum in that bar anyway. It's really just choppy. Okay, yeah. Definitely don't want that now. So it's crazy how you can go from so many potential setups, like there's 3 possible setups there, to 0, just like that. Well, to 1. I guess the CL could still set up. Yeah, definitely not interested in that. CL, possible for a second entry long. This would technically be a second entry here. Counting off the double top, first entry, second entry. This is just one leg down though, so double top and then just one leg down.
Hi, thank you.
Possibly, like I said, possibly a second entry long, but really I'd like to see a 1, 2 legs down, a more true 2 legs down. In Q, just finding support off this level. Nothing there for me. So there is this good signal bar here, and my voice is really cracking up. There's this good signal bar here, and it is technically a second entry long, but like I said, it's just one leg back. I want to wait for a more clear 2 legs back, and then potentially I could be interested in going long, but not on this one. Could be a mistake. I realize that maybe I should take that, but it feels a little bit too uncertain for me. It's not a hell yeah setup. RTY is still looking like it might get the second entry, but prices are continuing to look sideways, so I'm going to skip that if it does happen. Yeah, it's looking way too just kind of slow and choppy. Overall, prices are just kind of stacking sideways, so I'm going to skip that one. Might be a mistake to do so. Going to mark it to remember to check that out later. Same with this one. I'm going to mark it because I might should have taken that, but I was not really sure about that. But we are moving up. Looks like we're moving up to the break a new high already. That was quite a strong move, quite a quick, strong move up. NQ looks like we are moving around in this range. So clearly we had that support there earlier. Now I want to draw the resistance because it looks like this is correct. And it appears that this second entry was probably worthwhile. So that's something I'm definitely gonna have to study later. This one, it looks like I probably made the correct decision with how choppy prices are. Right now I really do feel like I'm understanding prices pretty well, for the most part. I'm going to go ahead and change this to blue because I really do think it's probably a worthwhile trade to take. You're looking for the breaking new high of this. You're off of this support area. It's a really good bullish bar off the EMA. It's also a second entry long, but that's not like the key aspect there. You move straight up to this breaking new high. So this was probably one that was worthwhile. I do believe, well, looks like you would have just ticked off the target so far, but I definitely want to look at that one later and decide, but to me it looks like it's probably going to be a worthwhile trade. Yes, we're looking like we're moving up to the resistance. Now we've broken out of the high side and we've broken out of the low side, so it would not surprise me if this range is now dismantled and is now incorrect. Downtrend never got a break in new low, showing there's definitely some buying in here. Prices came back within this range, and it looks like there is a possible entry with the second entry long. But the signal bar is not all that great, but I definitely want to mark that just in case, because it is off of the support level after prices came back within. It is a second entry long, so lots of potential range entries. It's a pretty surefire range right here. It's too bad that I'm not super comfortable trading these, because this is a pretty surefire trade. This lower high seems pretty surefire because you have this break new high and then the lower high, even though it's right into the EMA. EMA hasn't been holding. Trying to see if there's anything else. Incur, looks like this range is playing out. Potential for a short if you get a bearish bar here. Still don't have a break in new low of this downtrend. Now you have a break in new high of this one. If, well, I mean, I think it already does. I think this already has a break in new high. One leg down, kind of looks like a range like. Then you have a double test, so a break, new high, double test. Not a bearish bar though, so nothing that I can really do there. CL, I do think that this was probably a worthwhile trade to take, so I marked that one blue. I'm actually going to change it back to green just because I don't want to sway my view later, and prices are kind of selling off here. Didn't quite reach the target for the 1-to-1, so going to mark that green. Not sure about that. RTY looks like it's made 2 legs down, so uptrend gets a break and 2 legs to a new high. Break, new low of the downtrend, 2 legs up leads to a second larger leg down. Downtrend gets a break and new low. Uptrend gets an overshoot, leads to a break. Congestive action. You do get a second entry long here, but it's super congestive, so I was skipping that one. I think that I made the right decision here because prices are still kind of chopping sideways, but overall prices are very slow in the RTY. What entries might I be looking for right now? What chart should I be looking at? Probably the incur. Probably the incur. I think that there could be a short entry right here. In fact, I'm very tempted to take this actually because this downtrend does not have a break in new low. You're coming off a double top. Uptrend has played out. I actually think if that breaks lower, I feel like I should enter that. So
Order submitted.
going to prepare for it. Not entirely sure though. Not entirely sure. Yep, I am going to take that. The bracket sizes on this is so strange to me. So I think that this is, the reason I'm taking this one is because this downtrend still doesn't have a break in new low. You're coming off a double top. This uptrend has played out. You get a nice bearish bar. So I think this is a good one, but it is a little bit more uncertain for me. Let's see what happens. Do make a higher high here, which I want to point out. Higher high than this one. Overall, I do like this trade though. So let's see what happens. Noticing my heart rate did pick up a little bit here. Typically it picks up a little bit more whenever there's an uncertain trade compared to a more certain one. If this trade loses, then basically I think that my range would have just been incorrect and it would have been an incorrect read there. If it wins, then my read is, I guess, correct. But we do have the strong support here, so it's, I think, makes sense for there to be resistance here. We'll just have to see if it plays out. There's no point in reading too much into it right now. Let's make sure I got these brackets in the right place. 25 and 50. So yep, that does look right. Getting decently close to my target. Still might not reach it. We are bumping up into the EMA. So let's see if we're able to push lower here. finding some buying there. Let's see how much we're looking to take this one for. It's 8.25 points. But it's very different than the ES. There's a lot more points going on in the NQ. Finding some support off the EMA. I don't really have to commentate exactly what's happening here. I don't think that is super helpful. So I'm going to flip over and look at the other charts because there's nothing I can do to that trade. So just going to kind of figure out what's going on in the other ones. Looks like there's 2 legs up in the ES and you're still finding some resistance off of this range. Even though you've broken out of the high side and you've broken out of the low side, it's still coming into play.
Target filled.
So I could see this being a possible trade here, either this one or this one, because now you have these what looks like 2 legs up to me. 1, 2 perfect legs up right to the resistance. So I could definitely see that being a decent trade. It looks like I did get out of this NQ trade. It ticked me out exactly to the tick. So could be kind of lucky there. We'll have to see if prices end up trading lower. Well, I don't know. Maybe it did trade through just a tad. Yeah, it looks like it did trade through actually. So it traded through by 1 tick. So I might have been kind of lucky there. I'll have to study that one later. But at least to me, it does seem like it is a red short right there. On the CL, we've made these 2 legs down. We've come back within this range. This uptrend now has a break and new high, so I'm not sure where prices are going to go. I want to see if prices are able to hold this range or if they're going to trade back out the low side. Because this uptrend has already played out, and it played out early after the failed breakout, it makes me think that, well, here we go. It's going to say it makes me think that we're going to trade through the support, and here we are trading through the support. So it's right on there. Looks like I was correct not to take this second entry as this congestion is continuing. And looking back at the NQ, it looks like we might be trading higher here. There is the potential for a lower high. So after this break, new high, and then a lower high, that is a potential, but definitely finding some support off of this EMA with this big bullish bar. Trying to see if that's going to get any kind of follow through. Even if you do get a lower high here, I'm not going to take that. This is enough for me. I took this risk and I thankfully won, but I'm not looking to enter back in that again. Maybe that is irrational though. Maybe it's irrational not to take that. But I'm not getting that bearish bar as of right now. Trying to control my breathing. I felt that I was getting a little bit too excited, a little bit too fast paced there. So trying to take a second, control my breathing. I think it's in part due to the coffee. I'm feeling very caffeinated right now. I've only drank like maybe half this cup, but I'm definitely feeling my heart rate going up a little bit and getting a little bit too sucked into what's happening. I'm feeling like I really want this one to turn down and justify my entry, because if it just ticked me out, then it makes me think my read was actually wrong. And but I need to be indifferent. So if my read was actually wrong, that's okay. I just need to move on and not think about it. But I'm finding myself attached to this entry, so I need to be careful about that. Here is that lower high. So I'm going to mark this as a potential, because I think that it could be after this break and new high and then a lower high off of this triple test possible range area. I could see something like that. We're not breaking lower though, so let's see. It is looking a little bit congested there. Again, it could just be me being attached to this entry. And going to remove that as we never broke lower. Looks like we are going to go ahead and push up and out of here most likely, but we will have to wait and see. This range area is still continuing, finding support off of this triple test type of area. And looking at the ES, we are getting a little bit of follow through off of this bearish bar that I marked earlier after the two perfect measured moves up to the resistance area. But prices are moving very, very slow in the ES. This is extremely slow. Popping back to the NQ, this range is still sort of holding, but not very strongly. So definitely a possibility that it breaks. But right now it's kind of up in the air whether this resistance is going to hold. CL, this is basically up in the air right now. You have two legs down. You came back within the range. Prices held off the support, made the break a new high for this uptrend. One leg down. Now we're seeing, okay, is this range support going to hold, or are we going to trade back out the low side? It's also possible the range support ends up moving lower. So it's possible that it ends up moving lower like this. But for right now, I'm going to leave it where I had it because it is where it has the most touches. You kind of have some odd ranges today. So this one's kind of an odd range because you do break out both sides, and then you break out both sides kind of multiple times. Same with this ES range where you broke out both sides, but prices keep coming back within it, so it makes me think that it is indeed correct. NQ looks like we are pushing up and out of this range, so I believe that I did get lucky on this trade. So go ahead and remove that red marking, and I'm going to change that to green because it was probably aggressive and I was lucky. CL, trying to figure out again if we're going to hold. RTY, just congestive. So let's think about what entries I might be willing to take here. Just as a quick thought, back to this NQ trade before I forget, it seemed like it was slightly impulsive, so I'm going to have to look back and see exactly what I was thinking at the time, but just want to put that out there that I think it might have been slightly impulsive, because if I remember correctly, I just sort of flipped over, saw it, and I was like, yeah, that's it. So keep that in mind for later. Let's go back to the ES. Slow and choppy. Just going to watch the second monitor right now with the all four charts up. Looks like this range is probably not correct. Instead, there was just this support area. Could be some sort of uptrend working higher. It's kind of choppy and a little bit uncertain about that one. So I'm tempted to just go ahead and call it and not take any more trades because I do have two winners, which is great. And I'm feeling a little bit, like I said, caffeinated. I'm feeling a little bit over the top right now. So I just need to take a step back and kind of control my impulses, control my breathing, see if I can get back in the zone because I feel like I'm a little bit out of it. I feel like I'm a little scatterbrained right now is what it feels like. I'm feeling tempted to check my account balance, but it doesn't matter, and I'm fighting that urge. I'm not going to check it. I know that's just going to kind of flip my mindset into a wanting to make money kind of mindset. And what I'm here for is to learn. It doesn't matter if I win or lose. If I see a good trade, I need to take it. That's all that matters. So that's why I'm going to stay here for the next 45 minutes until 12 o'clock. I'm going to flip over to the incur. Looks like this uptrend is possibly correct. We're still kind of continuing upwards. And as far as this downtrend goes, it looks like there were these two legs up. One strong attempt at the break and new low creates a double bottom, and then a second attempt at the new low, failing before we're moving higher. So I definitely missed that part, and that's the reason why I was taking this trade, and I was incorrect. I'm going to draw this tighter because it looks like prices are still moving up, and this might be correct instead. So we might be looking for some sort of long entry on the incur. Looks like this downtrend, even though it doesn't have a break and new low, has played out because of all these tests at the lows. Now this uptrend is looking like it's correct, but I'm hesitant to play it until I get some more confirmation. On the ES, this range is just continuing to trade. It's been just ranging the entire day basically. So not much to really do or say there. CL, I'm still trying to figure out where it's going to go, whether it's going to go higher within this range, or whether it's going to go lower. But right now we are just chopping around. We're looking like we're in a smaller range inside of the larger one. Definitely was right not to take this long here. So I'm happy about that. Look at the overshoot of this uptrend, attempt at the new high, creating this congestive area. Now we're breaking out and testing these lows again. Nothing to take on this chart, but I'm picturing that we could bounce off these lows and start moving higher, in which case maybe I would be looking to take a long. I think I got control of my breathing. I think I got back control of myself. I'm back kind of in the calm zone. And that's really where meditation helps. Getting yourself back to that baseline. I easily could have just kind of flown off the walls there. But I'm back to it. I feel like I'm seeing the chart correctly again. Yeah, I'm feeling good. This could still be wider. Could still be the wider trend like this. Kind of fits better right now. Potential for a second entry long here. So you do have the first entry, and this is going to create a second entry. The thing is, I don't really feel like you have a close outside and a new low. If this bar closes outside, then it will be a close outside and new low all in one bar. But there's kind of two uncertainties. I'm uncertain about the uptrend, and I'm uncertain that this downtrend has a break and new low. So I think that it's best to skip that one, but I think it could be a good entry. So that could be a really good one. There's those two uncertainties. I'm really tempted to take it though. I'm really tempted. Okay, that's a big enough bar.
Order submitted.
I think it's the right move to take this one, because that is a big reversal of momentum. I'm going to drop it back a little bit though. So if it breaks higher, I'm going to drop my limit order back a little bit because it's a really big bar. I don't want to push the highs that far. Okay, so let's see if we get filled. So I'm going to chase that a little bit. Looks like it's going to leave without me. And it was indeed a good trade. I'm going to remove it because we've already made this break a new high. But this was a good trade. So I was right to try and take that. But I'll have to determine later on whether I was right to try and limit back in the trade, or whether I should have just taken that one right as soon as it broke higher. So this is a sort of an interesting thought process that went on in this one. First I was saying, okay, this uptrend, I'm not certain about it, and I'm not sure that this downtrend has a break and new low. So if it was a small signal bar, I probably would have said, I don't think I can really take that. But then whenever this one ended up as a really big bullish signal bar, now it looks like there's a clear reversal of momentum and a closeout side and a new low all in one bar. So you could see this would have been the closeout side, but it's also the new low. So with that, I decided to drop my order in on that one. And I think that that was the right call there. But again, I don't know if I should have dropped my limit order back where I did. I think that might be where I messed up there. Looks like prices still wouldn't have quite hit my target. This is a very, I mean, it's a pretty far ways to trade. That's what I was going for there. I'm gonna remove that. I don't even think that's a green trade. ES is continuing to move sideways. I want to, looks like you would have gotten out for a scalp, but just barely taking that one. So unsure if that's going to be marked by Mac, but it could be. Definitely like that one. Moving sideways. Had to sneeze there. So we've made these two legs down. We're finding support off the overnight lows. Gonna pull that down just a tad, just so it fits right there. So we're finding the support here. If we turn up, then we might get an entry to the long side, but as of right now, not seeing it. Nothing to see on the CL. Could still be an entry on the NQ, because it looks like that uptrend is correct, so maybe we could get a break, maybe a second entry after the break of it, looking for a new high, but not sure. For some reason, the ATM strategy keeps going off. Notice it just went off again. I wonder what's going on there. I want to check again to see how many bars are on each chart since 9:30. So let's start with the ES. It's our baseline. There are 95 bars on the ES. Pretty low volume day. there are 108 bars on incur. So 95, 108, 72 on CL, so a little bit less on CL. And 93 on RTY, so they're all pretty much in line. CL might have to go down a few ticks, but I think we're good for now. We are breaking this uptrend on incur, potential long entry. Thinking maybe a second entry long, looking for the break and new high of this uptrend, though it's possible that there's already a break. It's definitely possible. It's possible that's a close outside. There's already a new high. I'm going to keep that in mind. It could not be, but if you pull it in tighter, it definitely could be the case. So it appears that I might have been right to try and limit order, or try and take a limit back on this trade, because we didn't reach the target otherwise. So maybe I was right on that one to do that. We would have gotten stopped out otherwise. Continuing to move in the range on the ES, potentially looking for a break a new high here, though there might already be a break a new high. So if we do get one, it's going to have to be a pretty perfect setup. Potential for a triple test right there. So if we come down, maybe a triple test. Second entry long could be the entry, but not sure about that one. CL clearly moving sideways in what looks like a range. What looks like a range here, maybe something like that. RTY, 2 legs down, everything's played out. Even this downtrend has now created a double bottom and, well, has now played out. Looks like you might have a spike in channel. Possibly. It doesn't look quite right to me though. Maybe the spike in channel is from here. Not sure. Gonna take another look at that after I flip back to the incur, because there is a possible setup here. So don't want to miss any possible setup, just playing around with some downtrend. It's looking like there probably won't be an entry here. I'm thinking this was probably already a break a new high. Prices are just kind of moving sideways now. Could definitely see the possibility for some sort of range. Something like this could be correct. Not going to draw that yet because I only see the support. I made that mistake up here where I drew the resistance possibly too early. Or at least I put my trust in it too early. I think I drew it at a decent time, but I trusted it too early. That's not even true, actually. The problem, and I shouldn't really be reviewing this trade right now, but the problem with this one was that I was still kind of thinking that prices would move to this new low, but they had already tested it. So the problem wasn't the resistance. This resistance very well could have held. The problem was that I was looking for that low, and I was putting too much faith into that one, plus the fact that I was wrong about the resistance. Anyway, they're moving down. There's definitely the possibility for a triple test down here, but I'm kind of doubtful, and I'm not sure exactly what would qualify me to take it and what would tell me not to. So we're just going to kind of have to wait and see what goes on there. RTY is continuing to move down. I definitely think that there's some sort of spike in channel going on. I'm just not entirely sure where it is yet. Because if I pull it in too tight like that, then there's already a break. So I don't think that's quite right. But maybe something like that. I don't know. Maybe. Hop back on the NQ here. If you're good at trading ranges, today is a field day on the ES. I mean, look at that. Look at all those range trades. But just not my trades. This CL trade was a beaut. I really like that one. It's looking very unlikely that there's a setup on the NQ. Got about 20 minutes left in the day. Not really seeing anything that I would like on the ES or the CL. There is the potential for a setup on the RTY, but not seeing it quite yet. You know, kind of looking back at this RTY, I think that there could be a potential setup here with the uptrend that got an overshoot. The 2 attempts at its new high coming off this resistance. Possibility for a setup there. I'm going to remove this green arrow. I put that there initially just because I was looking at possibly taking the second entry long, though I thought it was too congestive. The thing about that, though, is you would be going right into these lows, and don't really like that. Got a doji bar in the NQ, so this is kind of what I was looking for with this leg down, then the break, attempt at a new low, creating a triple test, but it's not a very bullish bar. It's not really what I'm looking for. There's nothing I can really do there. I'm really leaning towards this already having a break and new high. So looking like this, where it already has a close outside and a new high. Man, it is low volume in the ES today. 100 bars, not a ton, just a lot of really choppy action, staying within that range. Looks like the CL is finally ready to make some movement higher, potentially. Could just get turned down off the resistance though. Okay. Yep, CL is finally gaining some traction here. Getting an up movement, so there's the potential for a long entry on the CL. Maybe some sort of second entry, looking for a break new high of the short-term uptrend. Would definitely like to see some sort of breakout pullback here. RTY is testing this downtrend, which I'm sort of uncertain about. It doesn't fit quite exactly right, but it does look like there's something kind of working lower. You know, it's kind of nice trading knowing that every single move I make, I'm going to look back on and I'm going to say, was that right or was that wrong? I'm going to rip myself a new one if I make any mistakes, like any real mistakes. So it's like, I know that I'm watching over my own shoulder. It kind of helps me not to make any dumb mistakes. I really think I'm onto something with recording this. Don't necessarily have to live stream it, but I like live streaming it because then it's not on my computer. It saves it exactly on YouTube. I don't have to keep up with it. And then watching it back later, man, this is This is huge. This is a game changer for my trading. I can already tell you. If I'd been doing this the whole time, man, I'd be leagues ahead of where I am now. It's looking like this downtrend is not right on the RTY, but I'm just not sure exactly what is then. I mean, maybe this one is still right, and maybe it was already a break and 2 legs down, because I had this at one point. So maybe it's like that. Maybe it's an overshoot. I mean, there's a few different ways that I could look at this. This is what I was playing initially. It kind of makes sense. Then maybe this is an overshoot. Kind of maybe looks like it. Into a break. Attempt at that high. 2 legs down. Could be it. Either way, I think a long entry is what I'm looking for on the RTY. So looking for a long on the RTY and a long on the CL. Nothing on the NQ and the ES. ES moving sideways, and the NQ looks like it's already gotten that break and new high for this uptrend, and now it's kind of moving sideways to down. Just about 10 minutes left, so chances are there's not going to be anything on the NQ. So I'm going to mainly watch the CL and the RTY as of right now. Thinking there could be a failed second entry after prices broke below the support area. So clearly the support area was correct. Prices touched off it 3 times. It's the overnight lows. Looks like all the downtrends have probably played out, so there could be some sort of failure or a second entry long to go higher. All the charts look to be simultaneously moving upwards. NQ is getting a move up, so it looks like there was a 1, 2 legs down if you look at it this way. A little 1, 2 legs down there. And now you might be moving up to what is the true break and new high. So maybe it is wider. Maybe it is like this after all, and now we are moving up after these 2 legs down. That's what it looks like, at least. So maybe there is the potential for a higher low here. Prices look like they're just going to go ahead and move up to that break and new high, though. CL moving up pretty strongly. There could be a slightly wider uptrend going on. Like something like that. Could be correct. For right now, I'm going to stick with what I have. Chances are there's not going to be any longs there. Okay, so we're getting pretty close on the NQ. We're definitely coming off of this resistance zone, you know, because we were sort of turning off right here, kind of like each time kind of turning down. I don't think I'd want to take any sort of higher low if one sets up. We're getting close to these highs already. So NQ is kind of out of the question. There's only a few minutes left. Looks like this already has a break and a new high, and we're getting close to this resistance. We're not touching off of it. Maybe if you touched off of it and they got a nice bearish bar, lower high, super far from the EMA, maybe that's an entry, but it's definitely a little bit aggressive. Probably not really what I'm looking for there, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and call it on that one. The only chart that I'm really looking for an entry on then is the RTY. So you could still get a failure or a second entry long on the RTY. Got about 5 minutes to do so, but it's definitely a possibility. We hit the break and new high on NQ. So I guess this in the end was correct. 2 legs down, you get the break and new high. So I was a little bit off early on, and I'll have to take a look at that and figure out why exactly I was off and where I was wrong in my thinking. Yes, we are finally breaking out of this resistance. I mean, we've broken out of it here. We broke out of the lows here, we came back within, and now we're finally breaking out of the resistance again. But we'll see if it's sustained. Nothing to do there, nothing to do on NQ. CL, nothing to do. Looks like 2 legs up to this resistance zone. Didn't quite reach it, but we might turn down anyway. And RTY, chances are we will not get a setup in time, but I think there's potential here with this downtrend overshoot, uptrend overshoot, break, 2 legs down, leg up after the breakout of this support zone. I think there's definitely the potential for an entry there. But it's not going to set up in the next 4 minutes. I'll stick it out just in case, but I'm like 99% sure it's just not going to happen in the next 4 minutes, and I'll be hopping off with my 2 trades and calling it a day there. So I'm definitely not as hyped up as I was. I think partially the coffee has worn off a little bit, and partially it's just now that the market has slowed down, I'm sort of slowing down with it. But there was definitely a minute there where I was feeling a little bit crazy mode. All right, well, yeah, that's it. I'm calling it.